country is suffering from a mass shooting epidemic. This year alone, there have been more mass shootings than days in the year. 22 schools have come under gunfire already this year, including Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 children were killed in cold blood in their classroom along with 2 teachers by an assault rifle. According to the Washington Post, more than 311,000 children at 331 schools have experienced gun violence at school since the 1999 Columbine shooting. After decades of Republican obstruction to Democratic efforts to address this epidemic of school shootings, we are now learning the long-term cost of this trauma. Researchers at Northwestern University found that students who are survivors of gun violence at school are less likely to graduate high school, and they are less likely to attend and/or graduate from college. These survivors are also less likely to be employed as adults than their peers. And if they are employed, they are likely to earn less over the course of their lives. So, Secretary Yellen, what is the economic cost of allowing the trauma of unabated gun violence in our communities and schools to continue unaddressed?
Well, Senator Menendez, let me first say I am also horrified by gun violence, what we've seen in recent weeks over many years. And I do hope that Congress will take long overdue action and put in place common sense measures to reduce gun violence. I'm not an expert at all on the psychological impact of gun violence on student learning or human capital accumulation, but and I'm not knowledgeable of the study that you mentioned, but I do know that there is a large literature in economics that documents that events that take place in early life in childhood can have a lifelong impact on life outcomes, on labor market outcomes, on psychological well-being. And so it only stands to reason that the threat of violence at schools it keeps our kids
So let me just
learning.
ask you from an economic, I know you're not a psychologist, but if Northwestern University's study that found that students who are survivors of gun violence are less likely to graduate high school, less likely to graduate from college, and more likely to earn less over the course of their lives, doesn't that have an economic impact?
Of course, it has a negative impact on these individuals and on our economy. And I don't know what the aggregate size of that is, but right. It certainly has a negative impact.
Let me ask you on a different topic. The Washington Post reported 2 weeks ago that the administration was considering canceling $10,000 of federal student loan debt per borrower for individuals with incomes under $150,000. The same article stated that, quote, it was unclear whether the administration will simultaneously require interest and payments to resume at the end of August when the current pause is scheduled to lapse. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau issued a report in April of this year finding that 15 million borrowers, or 60% of all borrowers that have had their loans on pause since March 2020, may have difficulty resuming their student loan payments when a pause is over. Are you concerned about the economic impact on borrowers if we turn student loan payments on prematurely?
Well, look, this is something that the administration is weighing what the right policies are here, and we're in the middle of deliberations on it. It is a very important topic. Student debt has...
If people are called upon to pay and cannot and default, that has a real consequence, as well as in their lives. It has a real consequence to our overall economy. That's why we've been urging the president to seriously consider loan forgiveness. Finally, a study published by the Washington Center for Equitable Growth found that over 118 million homes across the United States, Black and Hispanic homeowners face an average 10 to 13% higher property tax burden when compared to similarly situated white homeowners. Would you agree that our federal SALT deduction is an important tool to reduce the effects of regressive tax policy through property tax relief?
I'm not aware of that study. I'll have a look at it, but that's something I need to look into.
But on a broader
Senator.
proposition, if I give people property tax relief, and I have a disproportionate number of the universe of property tax owners who ultimately face a greater consequence of higher burdens, then I would assume that helping them with that burden gives the type of relief that inures to the benefit not only of those families, but to communities as a whole.
That certainly seems logical.
Time of the gentleman's expired.